talking about just the industry as a whole. Like, you walk in here, there's 80 people that come from a different background. Everybody's got a different story. Everybody ended up in the industry differently. So like the idea of the diversity of that, and like, so for me, having a career in corporate America and like, going through that, living through that for 7 years, going to work with a shirt and tie on every day and a suit, and like, and then, getting plucked out of that into construction. I was kind of like, now I look back and I'm like, man, that was really crazy. What the hell made me be able to do that, right? Like, because most people wouldn't. Like, I had a great job, paid well, went to all the sporting events, but like there was something about this industry. And I think it's like my dad was a steel worker. Like, I was around blue collar most of my life. But when you look at these 80 people, like their stories are all different, but there's something that makes us all connect. And I think it's that, like, we look at each other and we see something. Like, I see something in you that's in me, and vice versa. Like everybody, and there's something just magical about that like connects this industry in a different way than anyone that I've seen otherwise. Like, I know a lot of people in the car business. I know a lot of people in the tech business, and it's not the same. Like, there's just a feeling to this industry. And, of all the people that I know are passionate about this industry, like, you're up there on the list of people that like love it, love what it stands for. Like, what is it that's most unique about this industry to you? Like, what do you hold special, and like, what are you most passionate about in the industry?
Well, I think I'll kind of elaborate where you're like, there's just something there. Like, I know what it is, right? It's a tough climb. It don't matter if you're starting out as a seal coat company, which is you in a tote tank, or you're starting out as a national contracting company. And the asphalt industry is a tough climb. So as soon as you meet somebody and they're like, I am in the asphalt industry, you already have an instant accountability and camaraderie with them, because you're like, oh, I know what they had to go through because I went through that. So immediately you have a bond. You're like, hey, we're going to hang out, we're going to talk, we're going to do some stuff and get going. And I think, like, for me, that's what makes us super unique. So that's the stuff that I think is like, yeah, I hold that tight. I hold that close, because we're unique individuals. We're unique in our businesses. And most people that you and I have met are still in it, still doing it. So we know it's tough. We know it's a hard climb. We know we lean on to our community, our faith and everything else. But you stay in it for the long haul. There's some respect that comes with that. And those are the stories I like to hear and I like to cover.
Yeah, I also think it's cool just to mention it. Like, you see the little guys, the younger guys, your guys not so little anymore, but like, that are attracted to the same thing. Like, it is, there's something to it. There's a grit to it. It's almost like you get that check mark, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're a young man and you know the good, bad, and the ugly, and you still sign up for it, like there's something really special about that second, revolution of it. And so you work for one of those second revolutions. You've worked for two of them now. What is it about this industry that you love the most? What makes it unique? And what are you most passionate about in it?
I believe for me, it's. I notice with all of us, we're mission minded. We have one goal in mind, and I notice with our group at least, it's not profitability is put in the backseat, and we're given a chance to actually understand each other because we choose to be relational. I'm in New York now, so I got one time at the mic. That's all I have. And so what I have chosen not to do in working for Bruzy Floors as being the business developer as well as marketing is remaining relational and keeping that passion has to be the forefront, because what comes after that, the end justifies the means. Also, understanding and ensuring transparency. I think that's what also, I believe from what I see and what I've heard, especially also working for K&L, been able to understand that we can be transparent with each other. I often have said many times, and that is, I don't want to become a product of the environment, the corporate environment that I have to go into to make that sale, or to be a part of their dream team is one thing, but I want to remain, and I want us to remain original in who we are, and leaving a legacy is really important, especially if we, in my situation, it is Dad, Tony and Bruzy. So when you keep legacy in mind and you always keep your heart really involved in the business and keeping that momentum strong every day. Yes, for me, it's faith. Without it, I won't survive. But at the same time, it's just pretty awesome to be in a group that cares. Because sometimes when we go out in business and we're trying to make it work, you definitely don't have that environment to be a part of. So this just kind of solidifies in so many different ways that we can do this and remain relational one for another. So.
Man, that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that, like, just from two companies that we, hold dear, and like to have somebody like you go from one to the other, it's like, it's really special. And like, the word legacy always like throws me sideways because I feel like that's getting marketed into
It is.
something that it's not. Like, dude, a legacy is, having your kids be inspired by what you did. Legacy is like, the lives that you impact, or, the people that you, to me, it's like, I think about this, like, if tomorrow was it for me, like, who's showing up for my funeral? Like, who's actually coming? That's my legacy. It's like, how many people did I impact enough that they care?
Mm-hmm.
And because it's not about money, it's not about success, it's not about, how big your company gets or who knows your logo. It's like, it's really like the individuals, like the hearts that you can impact and change. And like, that's why I love this, because it's like, nobody comes here and doesn't leave a different person. Nobody interacts in business and doesn't change positively or negatively, right? And so our job, our real legacy is like, how can we make those interactions positive more often than negative, right? And that at the end of the day, those people that show up at the end of your life, those people that really feel something when you're not here, that's legacy. It's not anything else, And I think it's marketed like, oh man, we're going to make all this money and I'm going to leave this behind. It's like, yeah, you could do all that. But if nobody shows up in the end or nobody feels pain when you're not here, what the hell did you do it all for? So the industry question, back to that after that deep, heavy statement. But, what is it that makes you passionate about it? And I know, like, I know for you, it's, certainly people. You're a young guy with a lot of goals, and like, literally, it's crazy to me to see like somebody with your talent and maturity that's like your age and just getting started. I think it's the coolest thing. It's one of the things I look forward to the most in this group is like watching that journey for somebody of your age, and then having access to all this knowledge and people and network and stuff like that. What is it that makes you most passionate about the industry?
Yeah, I love the community. We're very rare that we have an industry like that with, this type of community. I look up to people like Marvin and the Callaways and Daniel Good, having, your son working for you.
Yeah.
And Daniel's son, I was joking with him earlier about, hey, what is the two types of concrete? Did you remember? and seeing the Callaways and the Bruzy brothers, I want, obviously I started this company, but I want that same thing, like with my son coming down the road. But not even just me, I have a lot of employees. Most of my employees are over 40 years old.
Yeah.
So their kids to come into it, it truly is the legacy piece for me. There's a million ways to make $1 million. I plugged in with a vehicle and chose, the construction, the trades. I didn't come from, my mom ran a print-based marketing company. My dad works for a global glass manufacturer. I didn't know how to hang up a towel rack, but I saw a vehicle and I went with it. So, and I still can't even hang up a towel rack. So once you have that, where you want to go, I learned early on, even in high school, like I would follow Andy Frisell, Ed Milet. I know we've talked about this before, but I knew where I wanted to go. You got to pick a vehicle and go there. So if you give it your all, that's how you get there. But for me right now, it's the legacy, bringing, my kids, my employees' kids, all that.
I love that you said I got employees that are like 40 years old. Like for me, it's like, damn, dude.
like, dude, what are you trying to say, bro?
yeah. Like now you know why I
Yeah.
pop jokes at you. You
I know.
inadvertently poke them at me. Yeah. No, it's
When you said you can't hang up a towel rack, I'll end on this one. I had a dude that I knew a long time ago. He was terrible at math. And I used to bust his chops all the time. Like, dude, how you own this big business? You're terrible at math. He said, I always knew how to count hundreds.
Yeah,
oh, dang,
exactly.
dude. Oh, damn.
Exactly.
That's it. That's the
Cool.
wrap.